Welcome back everyone to another video on the channel, and today I'm going to be reacting to our 1-0 defeat to Maidenhead on the road. So going to Maidenhead, it was always going to be a tough game. Obviously Maidenhead coming into the game after an emphatic 3-2 victory over Chesterfield. Obviously prior to that game versus Maidenhead for Chesterfield, they'd only been defeated once, Chesterfield, all season, to Woking. Coming into the game then, I was fairly confident before the lineups were announced. As soon as the lineups were announced, I saw a lot of people on Twitter, I saw people on Instagram, Facebook criticising Wild. You can't criticise him because there's nowhere in a million years that Wild would play that lineup. He's not going to drop Jordan Slew and not have him on the bench and not have the likes of Kane Spence starting for the correct reasons. We know Wild knows best at the end of the day. Thomas Scott coming in, it's due to injuries, it's due to illness, etc. So the game, as soon as I saw that lineup, my confidence just instantly dropped going into the game. I was hoping that we could still get a result against Maidenhead. I still felt we were good enough to win. I didn't actually go to the game, so I can't exactly give my full thoughts. Did we play poor? Did we play exceptional? And we just didn't deserve to lose. It sounds like we were quite poor, and they're starting to blame it on the lineups, which you can sort of see why. I'll read out the lineups then for everyone. So Thomas Scott started in net, Jack Senior, Jay Ben, Niall Marr, Tom Bradbury, Tyrell Warren, Martin Woods came into the side, Kieran Green, Billy Waters, Jamie Allen, and Matty Warburton. So players who weren't playing, Jordan Slew, obviously illness. I suspected he put something on his Instagram and it sounded like he was still at his house. So I'm thinking, is he actually not playing today? Before the lineups were even announced. The game kicked off then, and to be fair, Maidenhead, they were probably the better side for the opening half an hour or so. And then about 25 minutes had gone, Kieran Green got injured. I would have rather have lost this game than Kieran Green got injured. Obviously, both happened. He's been crucial this season. I announced that yesterday on the Radio Leeds that he's one of them players that you just can't replace, really. And basically 5 minutes after Kieran Green went off injured, Maidenhead took the lead for, I think it's Josh Kelly. And ever since then, to be totally honest, Maidenhead dominated the game. You can't not say that. They're not the worst side I've seen. I said going into the game when we lost them on the first game of the season, they weren't exactly a poor side. I didn't particularly think we played brilliant on the opening game of the season, but I couldn't really assess that game because there were new players coming into the side, etc. Coming into this game though, going 1-0 down, I looked on my phone and I thought, it's going to be one of them afternoons. Saw a lot of people putting it on Twitter, not necessarily blaming Wild. And then ever since then, I was hoping just get into half time, 1-0 down, and hopefully Wild can sort it out at half time. Went into the half 1-0 down. Second half began. It was similar in a way. Josh Kelly were quite dangerous for Maidenhead, it sounded. I was quite concerned, thinking, they're going to go 2-0 up. It sounded like we were trying to play on the break with the likes of Jamie Allen, Matty Warburton, Billy Waters. Later on in the game, we did start to get a bit more of the ball. I know Billy Waters almost scored. I think he skied it over the bar. I think there was also a situation where all it needed was one touch off a man and we could have got an equaliser. But at the end of the day, Maidenhead, they probably had the better chances in the second half, what I've heard. So at the end of the day, we've lost 1-0 to a weak side on paper in this division. Maidenhead, if you're going on league positions. One positive from today, results kind of gone our way. Obviously, Chesterfield dropped points against Aldershot at home. You've also got games like Bromley beating Grimsby. I don't know if that's good or not. It's got its pros and it's got its cons. You've also got Stockport beating Dagenham. That is quite poor actually for us. Stockport can go above us if they win the game in hand now, but it sort of takes Dagenham in a way out of the equation. You've also got the likes of Wrexham defeating Yeovil, which isn't great. So results have gone our way, but overall they probably haven't. There's been a lot of tough games today. Obviously, Bournemouth drew to Weymouth, which is a good point. Obviously, they may be not as confident going into that game on Tuesday now. yeah, going on to a bit of the game on Tuesday, I think it's crucial that we have the likes of Jordan Slew back, Sam Johnson. I can't really say Thomas Scott had a poor game because I haven't actually seen the highlights yet. I'd like to see Sam Johnson back in the side. I'd like to see probably Woods dropped out the side because you got to think about it. Martin Woods, he's getting into his latter stages of his career now. He's losing probably his ability in some sort of way. He's slowing down. A few tackles may have been missed, etc. with his age. He hasn't even been playing recently very much. He hasn't really started this season and been a regular in the side. So that sort of tells you that as soon as I saw him in the side, I was a little concerned because he hasn't been playing recently. Kane Spence, a decent. I think he needs to be back in the side on Tuesday. I don't know why he didn't start. To be totally honest, I'm sure there's a reason for that. Maybe it's that obviously certain Jordan Slew won't playing, so he didn't have support from him. But yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Kane Spence didn't start today. Bournemouth then on Tuesday. It's going to be a tough game. We need players back. We need the crowd to back them. We need to get a good attendance in on Tuesday night. We need to get the place bouncing and give the lads some support that they can feel that they can go on and defeat Bournemouth. Because a win against Bournemouth would put us straight back in the equation. However, a defeat will be in a bit of a difficult and awkward situation if we lose to Bournemouth going into that Dagenham game the following Saturday. So yeah, today wasn't the result we wanted, but you're always going to have these sort of games. Maidenhead are a good side. They've beaten Wrexham, they've beaten Bromley, they've beaten who else have they beaten? Wrexham, they've beaten Bromley, they've beaten us, they've beaten Chesterfield. You know, there's a lot of they were a decent side at the end of the day. Maidenhead, I personally feel in a false position. On paper, they're actually 19th, I think, after this game. I may be wrong there. There is going to be another video coming out on Monday where we may go into a bit more detail about this game. Me and Marina Hodo will be doing our second podcast. We'll be recording that on Monday, and that should be out later on in the week. There'll be a lot of results to talk about as well as a whole, the National League as a whole, a lot of signings, etc. And for now, I'll see you all later, and let's hope the Shaymen boys can get a result against Bournemouth on Tuesday. Up the Shaymen.